Welcome to the Roots and Branches JJC Alumni podcast. As the nation's first community college, JJC has been making history since 1901. With more than 70,000 alumni, we have an endless supply of stories to share. Listen in to find out how deep our alumni's JJC roots go and how far they've been able to branch out into our community and beyond. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to be kicking off season 2 of the podcast today. When we started this adventure a year ago, we really went into it without any lofty goals about listeners or downloads or subscribers. We were just happy to get the opportunity to try podcasting and be able to give our alumni a platform to share their stories and give advice. But through those stories, we've been able to highlight so many departments on campus and really give listeners and potential students the opportunity to learn more about these programs. And I think that's what's being shared in these episodes is really so much more than any webpage or brochure could ever provide. We're getting an inside look at what it's like to be a JJC student and really learn about how those experiences have shaped people's careers and lives. So, having realized that, we knew that we wanted to sort of branch out in season 2 and explore even more departments, programs, and initiatives, and bring on alumni who are true advocates for JJC. And today, we have an alumni guest who fits that bill perfectly. Abby Panozzo is the program director for our Veterinary Medical Technology program, the faculty academic advisor for vet sciences, and a self-proclaimed animal lover. Abby, I am thrilled to have you on the pod today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jen. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think that Abby knew I was going to be contacting her at some point to be on this podcast because she's one of our most active alumni, donating her time constantly to speak on panels, attend alumni events, mentor students, recruit for the program. And Abby, I don't know how you have time for all of that, but we do. We sure appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you for recognizing that.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we get into all the great stuff you're doing in vet tech right now, I want to do what we do every session and every episode. We want to go back in time. And I really want to talk about your JJC experience because you had a lot of really wonderful things to say sort of in our pre-interview about your time here as a student. So I guess tell me why you chose to come to JJC in the first place.
Well, to be honest, when I first started looking at college, I had no idea really what I wanted to do. And I grew up in New Lenox, so JJC was very close to home for me. Being undecided, I started talking to friends and people in the community to see what would be a good option for me. My sister also went to JJC, so it was kind of a natural progression for me to go to kind of figure things out. I originally, when I was thinking about college, wanted to go to UIC. And I wanted to study social work and have an apartment with my sister in the city and do the big college experience. But things didn't really work out that way. And when we started looking at cost of tuition and realizing that I had to be that far away from home and my friends and my family, JJC just really felt like a natural choice for me as my first step into college.
Yeah, we hear stories like that a lot where fresh out of high school, you think you want to go away, you think you want to have this type of experience, and then you sort of get there and realize, wait, this isn't what I wanted. So many JJC stories start like that. And when you really do start looking at that tuition comparison, there's a pretty big difference there. So you came to JJC, you were having a great experience here. Talk about being a student here. Do you have any favorite memories of your time?
Oh my gosh. School and being in the program at JJC, in the vet tech program at JJC, honestly was one of the times of my life. And I even tell students now, like, hold on to the time that you're here. It goes by so quickly, and just cherish all of these small little moments that happen. So it's really difficult to choose just one time within the vet tech program that was memorable. But for me, one that really stands out is during my time in the vet tech program, we partner with local humane societies, rescue shelters, things like that. And we had this beautiful female dog that came in that was pregnant. And she wasn't very obviously pregnant when we invited her to stay with us in the program, but very quickly started to develop. And us as little future vet techs started seeing the signs and picking up on her impending birth. And it was incredible. She actually whelped 5 puppies in the program. So as little baby vet techs. We got to hold the little baby puppies and have that
Aw.
incredible experience. And the instructors were so great. They walked us through everything, things to look for, how to help, signs of distress. So it was something that really stuck with me, just to see the community of vet techs come together and be so excited about something that, now being in the field for as long as I have, it's something that happens pretty frequently. So it's, the shine is kind of wore off of it at this
Yeah.
point. But to have that first experience in such a controlled environment and have it be so special, and have the instructors there so it wasn't scary or intimidating, it was just something that you could enjoy and really just kind of take in the moment of it. It was really cool.
That is so sweet. And now your students here are getting to experience that, like you said, all the time, right? You guys are getting to have that experience with new puppies.
Oh, absolutely. And the animals that we get in the program, man, we have been so blessed with some of the biggest personalities and these creatures that we invite into campus. It's never a dull moment. Both the dogs and cats are just quite characters. And it's really cool to see now the students having those similar experiences that I had as a student, the first time that they're able to draw blood or connect with an animal. It's a really special experience to be able to be on the flip side of that, to see the students'
Yeah.
experience now through the eyes of, or the lens of, an instructor.
Yeah. And I mean, and you're an animal lover at heart, right? You knew at like 10
Oh my
years
gosh.
old that you
Oh my
wanted
gosh.
to potentially be in this field, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. I think that I was born an animal lover. For my first birthdays, I was asking for memberships to different advocacy magazines and memberships
Aw.
to different animal organizations. I was always the one that, and even now, which is kind of embarrassing, but even at the party, I'm the one who's always like looking for the dog to play with and not necessarily socializing with the people. But yeah, I've always had a special connection with animals ever since I was young. And my family is also huge animal lovers. So it was something I was always around.
Yeah. So you have a wonderful experience here in our vet tech program at JJC. You really just discovered like, this is what I want to do. And you did have an opportunity then to go right into your career, right? From JJC.
Yeah, absolutely. So as part of the curriculum, the last class that we did was an externship. And I started my externship at Piatone Animal Hospital. And I stayed on after the externship for nearly 19 years at that practice. So it was a great opportunity. It was a great transition from school directly into practice. I felt totally prepared to enter the workforce after graduation. And then working at Piatone really gave me all of the support and skills that I needed to be a successful technician throughout my time in clinical practice.
So I have to know, you've got 19 years there. You obviously loved working at that facility, but something else was kind of calling to you. And then a person kind of brought up an idea about teaching, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Part of keeping your licensure in Illinois is that you have to do continuing education every 2 years. So I was at a conference and I ran into Dr. Scott Keller, who was a previous program director and one of my favorite instructors here at JJC. He was a
That was
very
great.
tough instructor. Yes, very tough instructor, but he shaped my career and really helped me grow as an individual and a student. So I really appreciate everything that he had done for me. So anyway, I ran into him at a conference and we just started catching up and talking. And he had mentioned that with my experience, he thought I might be a good adjunct at JJC and invited me to apply for a position, which I did. And the rest is just in the books, I think. It just kind of snowballed and fell in love with teaching. I was a little hesitant at first, to be honest, because I love clinical practice so much. And I
Mhm.
love working hands on with the animals as well as their parents, their pet parents. So I thought that I was going to miss it tremendously, leaving clinical practice and coming to teaching. But it's been a total switch. So from where I would look and have a case in front of me and be able to put my hands on that animal and help on the physical side, collecting blood, placing IV catheters, monitoring therapeutic outcomes, all of that, there was a certain kind of joy that you get out of those types of cases. But now when I sit in the classroom and I'm talking about different theories and things that I know are going to change the lives of these students as they grow as technicians, and you see that same kind of switch in them, where an animal went from illness to health, you see these students going from confusion to understanding. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a total switch from clinical practice to being in the classroom, but the rewards are very similar and the outcomes are incredible.
Well, I have to brag on you, Abby, and I knew that I would need to because I've had the opportunity to see you in action with your students, to see you working with the animals and stuff. And you really are like the heart and soul of that program. It's the way that you not only do your job when you're in there, but also how you talk about the program, how you talk about JJC when you're outside of the classroom. You can't fake the kind of like passion and dedication that you have when you talk about it. So it's really wonderful to see. Our students are so lucky to have you as the program director. And I want to talk, like, now that you did make that choice, now you've been a teacher for a while, what do you think are your favorite pieces about being in the classroom?
Ooh, favorite pieces about being in the classroom. Gosh. So I would have to say the excitement that I get from the students coming in every day and teaching them something that I'm so passionate about is truly a gift. And then seeing them receive it and take that knowledge. To be honest, one of the funniest things that I've noticed is students start picking up on the things that I say, which are ridiculous, like Abbyisms that I don't even think are real words. But then when they start saying it back to me, I'm like, oh boy.
Okay, you've got to give us an Abbyism. What's it? What's
Oh
one of
my
them?
gosh. So I always tell them, like, in real life, this is going to happen, right? The names that I talk for the animals, everything is a sugar plum or sweetie pie and a little potato. So then you start to hear the students call the animals little potatoes. It's so fun to be able to see those things and know that they're actually listening and that the words that I'm saying are truly making an impact on the students. The things that I'm showing them, telling them that they're actually taking it and are being excited about learning. And of course, working with the animals, being able to have them in the classroom with us, interacting with the students and seeing them grow and grow along with the students has just been incredible opportunities.
Yeah. Now, you have told me before in a previous conversation that you've really got an interest too about the importance of mental health in this industry. That's been really something top of mind for you, something that you don't feel is getting enough attention. So, what are you doing to start advocating for mental health? Or what's the problem surrounding that?
Yeah, good question. In veterinary medicine as a whole, unfortunately, there's a terrible trend that's happening. And over the last several years, we've seen an increase in self harm and suicide. And now in veterinary technology, we're one of the leading medical health professions for suicide in our field. We've lost a lot of tremendous veterinarians and veterinary technicians, veterinary assistants to mental health crisis. And I started to see this trend coming. There were a couple of friends of mine that have been affected by this as well. And just to see incredible human beings that are so passionate about the field not be able to continue or not have a sustainable career because of mental health really broke my heart. And I didn't know what to do. I myself suffered from some bouts of burnout, compassion fatigue, being in the field for so long. So all said and done, I've been a certified technician since 2002. And then I worked as a veterinary assistant for 5 years prior to that. So for about 28 years, I've been in the field. And a lot of people think all we do is play with puppies and kittens and that it's sunshine and rainbows and that everything is great. And in an ideal world, like, yes, that's what it would be. But we do see a lot of heavy things. We see a lot of abuse and neglect. We see just misinformation from pet owners. Sometimes we just see humans at their worst because their best friend is suffering. And a lot of times we're easy targets for that to be taken out on. So unfortunately, I suffered through a couple episodes of depression and things like that as well. And I wanted to hopefully, once I made it through to the other side, I wanted to make sure that the next generation of students had better support than perhaps what I had, because it was always a silent thing. Nobody wanted to talk about it. You sucked it up and moved on to the next appointment. You did those things. And it's hard to do that for so long. just kind of
Yes.
switch the lens from a euthanasia case to a puppy in the next room. It's very challenging. So I wanted to give our students at least a conversation to let them know that there are resources that are available. At JJC, our mental health and wellness center has been incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
And offering support to our students when they needed it, either individually or just knowing that there are resources available. Our faculty and staff are also incredible human beings. Each one of us is extremely passionate about the field and have been through situations like this. So we're great resources for our students to come when they're struggling. I
Mhm.
always joke with my students, I say I have an open door, but it's very rarely open because I always have somebody coming in that wants to have a conversation about something that they experienced in practice, or maybe even if it was something that they saw on social media that hit them a little hard and they need to have a conversation
Yes.
about it. So just opening the conversation, having the dialogue with them, letting them know that it's okay to have these feelings and it's okay to get help and have resources that are available to them. We do teach like some coping mechanisms. We talk to them about self-care, because how many times does somebody say you need to practice self-care, but nobody shows you what that looks like?
Exactly. Or shows you
Right?
some of the simple pieces to it, like, oh, just take up coloring. Or, I mean, that's great
Exactly.
too.
So we did one of the things, and at the end of the last semester, it was a very difficult semester, a lot of stress that was happening. And you could see it in the students' faces that everybody was just feeling a little beat up towards the
Yeah.
end of the semester. So we had a discussion about what self-care looks like and setting boundaries. And we grabbed 6 of our dogs from the program and we hit the trails at JJC and we went for a 2-hour walk and talked and explored. And it was an incredible opportunity to connect with the students, get the animals out of their kennel, but then actually show them like, this is what self-care looks like. It's
Yeah.
okay to put up a boundary and say, I have to be done for today. Like, I've met my max and now I need to turn on to something different to protect my mental health. So we do things like that throughout the semester. We have host little parties, yoga, things like that, just to kind of help the students recalibrate and then hopefully show them that there's opportunities in different ways that you can express yourself.
It's unfortunate that there still is such a negative stigma sometimes surrounding mental health and being open about it. And I had just recently really actually heard about compassion fatigue in the nursing field. Michael Taylor had brought that up about just how difficult that is. And so, I mean, I realize that definitely translates to you, whether it's animals or humans, the fact that you're there for those wonderful, happy moments of births and puppies and animals surviving a surgery and being back to their old selves. But you have so much other difficult moments of saying goodbye to pets and helping them. And like you said, then the background of that with abuse and trauma and stuff. So the fact that you are already teaching your vet tech students now, that you're already giving them the tools that they need to be able to combat some of that, to set boundaries, to find the self-care that actually works and will help them keep them from that burnout. And the fact that you're willing to tell your personal story with all that takes it to another level. There shouldn't be any embarrassment, or there shouldn't be anything that we feel we need to keep that part of ourselves hidden. So the fact that you guys are showing students how to do that, I think is huge.
Absolutely.
And our mental health department and wellness, they're really stepping up their game. They are just doing such great things for our students. So I'm happy that you mentioned them as well. So, all right, now we want to talk about this vet tech program cannot exist without support from a lot of different ways, right? So if I'm listening to this podcast today and I love what you're saying about how you take care of these animals, talk a little bit about what types of resources it takes to care for these animals throughout the semester.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about this, because support from the community is paramount to what we're able to do with the animals within our program. So we don't take the healthy animals that come in. We partner with local animal shelters, local rescues, and then we also partner with another facility that not rescues, but takes in retired research beagles. So animals that have been used in science, then they transition into another life where we take our resources at JJC and help rehabilitate these animals, both physically, mentally, and socially. On the physical side, for example, this last semester, we had this sweet little pit bull. His name was Spot. And he was a little bit of an older fella, great personality. Man, he was a ham. But he had some digestive issues. And we had to go beyond our resources at JJC. And we connected with a local animal hospital, Animal Medical Center of Plainfield, for an abdominal ultrasound. They worked with us on price, but still to do extended diagnostics like that can be quite pricey. And without things like donations and sponsorships, we wouldn't have been able to provide that extended care for Spot that he needed. And Mr. Spot then eventually, once we figured out what was going on with him, drove away in a brand new Range Rover with his new family in the front seat. With his new collar. So he was able to find his forever home through the resources that we were able to provide him and the funding that we were able to provide him. So outside of donations and sponsorships that we use directly for animal care, we also use it for things like enrichment for the animals when they're with us. So being that these animals are in a shelter-like situation, we need to engage their mind and their bodies. So using the money that we get from sponsorship and donations, we can purchase enrichment toys to give them a variety of different things to play with. We use them to purchase different harnesses so we can take them for those incredible walks around campus, socialize them, get them out of their kennels and get them excited. So not only that is an incredible opportunity to involve the community in what we're doing, but also the money that we get through donations and sponsorship is 100% used for the animals. So it's always appreciated. And then we also have started some other funds within the vet tech program to help support our students. One of them is called the VTNE Fund. So VTNE stands for Vet Tech National Exam. And after our students graduate, in order to become credentialed technicians, they must sit for a national exam. The cost of that exam is almost $400 when they sit to take that exam. So for some students, that can be an extreme hardship. And it's very heartbreaking that they go through such a rigorous program and make it all the way to the finish line and then don't have the funds to sit for the national exam. So we created a fund that folks can donate to that would help us buy vouchers for students in need when they are ready for their VTNE, to take their VTNE. So that's one of our newest initiatives, is raising money for our VTNE fund to help support our students when they are ready to take their national exam.
Yeah, vet tech is definitely one of our biggest group of philanthropists, I think, on campus. You guys are always working in every way you can to bring in that kind of support for the animals, for the students. I do want to mention, so our office here in the JJC Foundation obviously works with all the departments around campus to set up these funds and bring in donations. But being a group of 10 animal lovers ourselves, when we got invited down to the vet tech area about 2 years ago, we got to come play with some of the beagles and we got to meet some of the kitties that you had running around, and we had the best time. And we decided as a group that we wanted to contribute our own money to sponsor an animal. And a lot of people on campus don't realize that they can actually do that. You may not be able to adopt one of our animals or give them a home, but you can sponsor them, which gives them some really necessary funds throughout their time here at JJC. So if any of you listening feel so compelled to be a sponsor like we were or to adopt, you can actually visit jjc.edu/sponsor an animal. That's all in a row. And they'll have all the information you need of where that money goes. There's different giving levels and how you can support the animals. But as Abby said, those are necessary funds. They're lifelines for those animals while you're here. And when you guys have emergencies and when you have things that you want to do with them, that money supports them. And obviously, getting in really great students to be the next generation of vets. We really need to support the students that are having trouble making those ends meet, whether it's taking their exam, having tuition money, other different pieces. So you can always give that way by visiting jjc.edu/give to JJC. You can donate to any of those funds. But more importantly, some people don't realize is how easy it is to set up an actual scholarship here at JJC. So it only takes $500 to actually start an annual scholarship. And especially if you've got something that's really meaningful to you, you can do that. Now, Abby, this is my segue because I want to talk about your parents. Your parents are like you said, animal lovers just like you. They're obviously so proud of you and the work that you're doing at JJC. And they had a very special relationship with an animal. You called him an alum of JJC, which I love. But talk a little bit about Vinny and how he kind of just like changed your parents' world.
Oh my gosh. And I'm going to get choked up talking about Vinny.
We can cry here on the podcast. It's okay.
So my parents, Bonnie and Joe Motika, adopted Vinny through our program about, it's probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And when Vinny came to us, he was from a local rescue and he was a hot mess. He was a senior dog who had terrible allergies, a fracture in his leg that had healed without veterinary intervention. So he was kind of mangled. He wasn't the most attractive creature, to be honest, but he had a heart that you could just see that this dog really needed a second chance. And within our facility, we started recognizing that this wasn't, despite our students' best efforts, we did everything that we could within our power to make Vinny happy, but he needed a home. He needed to not be in a shelter situation. Being that, again, he was kind of hot mess express, his adoptability rates were very limited. So I reached out to my parents knowing that they are bleeding hearts for animals. And I told them, please just come and meet Vinny. Just come and meet him and see what you guys think. So when they met him for the first time, he was snarky. He snapped at their dog and he just had a big attitude. And we came out with a tray full of medication that he needed to be on. I thought my mom's eyes were going to pop out of her head. She was like, are you kidding me? And then my dad, he goes, oh yeah, he's coming home with us. He's ours.
Oh,
we'll put him in the truck. Let's go. So for 6 years, and we thought that he was going to be like a palliative care case. And that's what we told our parents. He's probably got maybe a year, and they were dedicated to give him the best possible life that he could have. And 6 years later, Vinny was still enjoying so much life with my mom and dad, both who had retired in that time. So Vinny was completely spoiled, was to my sister and I's dismay, like the center of their world. They even got a Ring camera so that they could check on him occasionally. That's how spoiled Mr. Vinny was. And they did everything that they could for him. They did extensive veterinary care in areas where maybe some other people would have said it was his time to transition over. But they were in it for the long haul with him. And after about the first year and a half, Vinny started to kind of wake up again. It was a totally new dog, barking and running. And when it would snow, he liked to get on his back and go down the hill in their backyard, like he was his own little sled. He was a craziest little dog. But they absolutely loved him. And recently, it just got to the point where his body was starting to fail. He was getting pretty tired. So they ended up saying goodbye to him probably about three to 4 months ago, which was a really, really difficult time for my parents. Again, they were extremely invested, and the bond between the two of them, or the three of them, was just something that was so beautiful and really difficult to see my parents go through that. So I was talking with them and they said, we want to do something to keep his memory alive and to support the veterinary community that gave him a second chance and then gave us the support to give him the second chance. So I connected with the foundation and we had an idea to get a scholarship started in his memory. So we now have the Vinny B Motika Memorial Scholarship for $500 that's available to our students. And hopefully his story and that human-animal bond, we can shed more light on that and what a beautiful thing it can be and the role that veterinary technicians play in that moving forward. And it was, to set up the scholarship was so easy. The most difficult part that my parents had setting up the scholarship was trying to find a cool name for it. Everything else was really extremely easy. And the foundation made it seamless. So it was literally just a few phone calls and an email, and this beautiful thing happened. And we're going to be offering it this fall to our first student.
It's so wonderful when you and your family were setting that up. I think the other hard part is that everyone was getting a little teary. Everyone was getting a little teary-eyed. I mean, your parents just talking about him and what the scholarship means, but the beauty of sort of having that in his name now and going back to
Mm.
support your program. I needed to make sure that we shared that story because it's just so wonderful. And again, it's another testament to you, Abby, and all of the incredible work that you are doing in vet tech. And I feel like incredibly lucky to have you at JJC. We really are. So are our students. So speaking of those students, you got a new batch coming in. They're getting ready to start in another week and a half. Do you have any advice for them or any new students who are just coming in fresh to JJC?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited for this new semester to start. I always am.
Yeah,
It's like Christmas for instructors, right?
it's so
It's
exciting. I do. I
new
love this
exciting.
time of year. Yeah.
I would say my best piece of advice for students coming in is just to take every opportunity that comes your way. Be engaged and be dedicated to honing your craft. This is the time that it's okay to make mistakes and explore things. There are dedicated instructors to help you with your success. So lean into it and enjoy every part of the journey. JJC has so much to offer. I jokingly said JJC has only given me one thing in my career, and that's been opportunity, time and time again. So yeah, just jump on everything, get involved, do the things. This is the time of your life to get involved, learn from different people and different cultures, get all of those experiences now, especially as a student and in such an incredible, nurturing space that JJC provides. That was a very long advice.
It's great advice. And this is like the perfect time of year to be saying it. And it's coming at the end of an episode that I think has probably already made students realize just, I don't know, how special we are over here, I would say, at JJC. So, Abby, thank you again so much for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk about our program and about all the different experiences that we have over in vet tech. So I appreciate your time and including us in your podcast.
Absolutely. And just to say it one more time, if you feel so moved to be a sponsor or to adopt an animal of your own, make sure you visit jjc.edu/sponsor an animal. They're always in need of your support and help. So thanks for being with us today as we kicked off season 2, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Roots and Branches JJC Alumni Podcast. For more episodes, information, foundation events, and ways to give or get involved, visit jjc.edu/alumni.